Here's something that should scare every business owner watching. The scam that used to be easy to spot, the clumsy email from a fake prince full of typos, is gone. Artificial intelligence killed it. In its place is a new kind of attack that's fast, flawless, and aimed right at small business. AI-written phishing that reads like it came from your bank. Cloned voices, deepfake video calls. And the numbers in 2026 are ugly. AI-powered cyber attacks jumped 340% last year, and small business is the favorite target. If you run a company, any company, stay with me, because the way you protect yourself from this is not better software. It's something most owners have completely wrong. Let's start with what actually changed, because it's not small. For 20 years, the thing that saved most people from scams was that scams looked like scams. Bad grammar, weird wording, an email that just felt off. That was your early warning system. Generative AI erased it overnight. Now, an attacker types one sentence into a chatbot and gets back a perfect email, in your language, in your industry's tone, addressed to you by name, referencing your actual vendors. One report found phishing tied to generative AI tools jumped more than 1,200%. The tells you were trained to look for are just gone. And this isn't a handful of cases. The scale is what makes it different. AI-powered cyber attacks surged 340% in a single year. Small business attack rates climbed 47% year over year. And by 2026, researchers are clocking an attempted incident on a small business roughly every 7 seconds. Here's the part that stings. AI-generated phishing emails get opened 54 to 78% of the time. Compare that to about 12% for the old junk. So the attacks are far more effective, and they cost the criminal almost nothing to produce, about 95% cheaper than the old way. Cheaper to send, far more likely to work. That math is why it's exploding. But email is just the entry level. The scary jump in 2026 is that AI doesn't stop at text. With a few seconds of audio pulled off your website, a podcast, a voicemail greeting, AI can clone someone's voice well enough to fool their own family. And it can fake a face on a live video call. So picture this. Your bookkeeper gets a call and it's your voice, your tone, asking her to wire a payment to a new account, today, quietly. Or she joins a video meeting and sees your face and hears your voice telling her to do it. That used to be science fiction. In 2026, it's a product you can rent. And it already cost one company $25 million. Here's the case, and it's real. A global engineering firm called Arup. One of their finance employees got an email, supposedly from the company's chief financial officer, asking him to move money for a confidential deal. Smart guy, he smelled a phishing scam and almost ignored it. So the attackers invited him to a video call. He joined, and there was the CFO and several colleagues he recognized, on camera, talking to him. It looked normal, it sounded normal, so he relaxed and he followed instructions. Every single person on that call except him was a deepfake. Not one of them was real. Over the course of that one day, he made 15 wire transfers, totaling about $25.6 million, into accounts the criminals had set up in advance. He only realized something was wrong when he later checked in with the actual head office about the secret transaction. They told him there was no transaction, no meeting, no CFO on a call. None of it had ever happened. The money was gone, routed through accounts they'd prepared before they ever contacted him. As of last year, not a dollar of it had been recovered. That's the new playbook, and it works. Here's the pattern underneath all of it, and it's the thing I want you to really sit with. For years, the main defense regular people had against fraud was instinct. Something feels off, so you slow down. AI is built specifically to remove that feeling. The email reads right, the voice sounds right, the face on the screen looks right. By the time your gut would normally kick in, there's nothing left for it to catch. You can't train your way out of this with a 5-minute warning about typos anymore, because the typos are gone. So why does an attack on a giant engineering firm matter to you, the owner of a dental office, a roofing company, a property management firm, a law office with 6 people? Because the exact same tools are being pointed at you on purpose. Attackers go after small business because they know the truth. You've got real money moving through your accounts and almost none of the security a big company has. No IT department, no security team, maybe one person who handles the wires. You are, frankly, the easier target, and the criminals know it. The tools that hit AirUp are cheap enough now that it's worth their time to come after a company your size. And the cost is not abstract. The average loss from a single breach on a small business is around $254,000. Stop and think about whether your business could write that check tomorrow, out of cash, and keep the doors open. Most can't. Here's the number that should really land. Roughly 60% of small companies that get hit by a serious cyber attack are out of business within 6 months. Not because the attack itself killed them, but because the cost, the downtime, and the lost trust finished what the attack started. This is not a nuisance. For a small business, it's an extinction-level event. And here's what a lot of owners get wrong. They assume the bank will just claw the money back, or that some software company is on the hook. In most of these cases, that's not how it works. When you authorize a transfer, even a tricked one, the bank treats it as you saying yes. The money's gone, and it's your loss. So the real question isn't, how do I never get fooled? Because anyone can get fooled now. The real question is, when this happens, what actually catches me? And that is an insurance question, the exact kind most business owners have never asked. First, the policy you already have probably doesn't cover this. Most small businesses carry a business owner's policy, a BOP, and they assume it covers everything. It mostly covers physical stuff, the building, the inventory, somebody slipping in your lobby. Cybercrime is a completely different animal, and most standard BOPs either exclude it or include a tiny cyber add-on that's nowhere near enough. Industry data shows the average small business cyber claim now blows right past the limit of those little embedded add-ons. So you can have insurance, feel covered, and still be almost entirely exposed to the exact thing that's most likely to hit you. Second, and this one's sneaky, even some real cyber policies don't automatically cover this specific kind of attack. When your employee is tricked into sending money, that's called social engineering, or funds transfer fraud. A lot of cyber policies treat that as a separate add-on, with its own limit that you have to ask for. So a business can buy cyber insurance, think they're protected against the deepfake wire scam, and find out after the fact that the social engineering piece was never included. You have to look for those exact words, social engineering and funds transfer fraud, and make sure they're actually in the policy with a real limit behind them. Third, the attack often doesn't end with stolen money. A huge share of small business attacks involve ransomware, where the criminals lock up your systems and your files until you pay. While you're locked out, you can't invoice, can't schedule, can't serve customers. That's lost income on top of everything else, plus the cost to rebuild your systems. Whether your coverage pays you back for that downtime depends entirely on how the cyber business interruption piece is written, and a lot of bare-bones policies barely address it. The average ransomware claim runs close to $500,000 once you add it all up. And here's the gap that ties it together. Having a cyber policy is not the same as getting paid. Recent data shows that more than a quarter of data breach claims ran into an exclusion in the policy that led to no payout or only a partial one. So the difference between a policy that saves your business and a policy that just takes your premium comes down to the fine print, the exclusions, the sublimits, the little add-ons you did or didn't buy. That's not something you want to read for the first time after you've already been hit. Now here's the good news, because I don't want to just scare you. Real cyber coverage is surprisingly affordable. For a lot of small businesses, a solid standalone cyber policy with a $1 million limit runs around $100 to $200 a month. Compare that to a $254,000 loss or going out of business. And right now, the cyber insurance market is actually competitive with plenty of options, so pricing is reasonable. Prevention and the right policy together cost a tiny fraction of what one incident costs. This is one of the rare cases where the fix is cheap and the problem is enormous. So here's what I want you to actually do, and it's 3 questions. 1. Does the policy I have right now actually cover a cyber attack, or just my building and my inventory? Most owners don't know, and they assume yes. 2. If an employee gets tricked into wiring money, is social engineering or funds transfer fraud specifically covered with a real limit? Ask for those exact words. 3. If ransomware shuts me down for a week, does my policy pay me back for the lost income? Those 3 answers take one short conversation, and that conversation is a whole lot cheaper than the way Arup found out. My name is Dennis Hendrickson. I'm a licensed insurance broker in Sarasota, Florida, and this, Cyber and AI Risk for Small Business, is exactly what I help owners with. If you're not sure whether your current policy would cover a deepfake wire scam or a ransomware shutdown, that's worth 15 minutes to find out, before something happens, not after. My contact info is right down in the description, and the first conversation doesn't cost you anything. If this was useful, do me a favor and subscribe. Every day we break down a real AI and business story and what it actually means for your bottom line. The practical version, not the hype. The scammers are using AI now. Make sure the person protecting your business is thinking at least one step ahead of them. I'll see you tomorrow.